And welcome everybody. It is Friday night. We are going to be doing a quick AE live tonight. I wanted to walk everybody through how to build a Goddard rocket. So if you are in the Rocketry program, you're working on your Rocketry Badge, one of the options for you to do on level 1 is to build the Goddard rocket. So with that, let's jump right into it. Okay, so that's what we're going to be building tonight. All right, before we get started building, we're not going to do a big lecture. There is actually going to be a lesson on stage 1, they call it Redstone, for the Rocketry program. And it's going to get more into this type of stuff. But for those of you that maybe aren't in CAP, you stumbled across this, before we start building, I just wanted to give a quick 2-minute introduction to who Goddard is, right? So we're building a rocket called the Goddard rocket, and so who is Robert Goddard, right? So Robert Goddard, he was a physician, really the modern father of rocketry. He came up with a lot of the ideas that we use today. 2-stage rockets, he came up with that. Gyroscopes to control the attitude of the rockets when they're in flight. Developed liquid fuel. He was also the one to really push using rockets as a way to get to higher altitudes, including going to the moon. He's no longer with us, but he really set the foundation. There was other individuals who did a lot of work, 100 years ago. But Goddard is really somebody who's his work has most recently been kind of the jumping off point for most of our rockets. So with that, let's go ahead. And also, the NASA, their first space center was called the Robert Goddard. It actually is where they control the Hubble telescope. So let's go ahead and let's start our build. It won't take us very long tonight. All right, let's move down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this down here. Okay. So for those of you in CAP, you have a book for rocketry. In that book, on page 10, you have this sheet. So that's one of the things you're going to need. So you're going to need this sheet. You're going to need either styrofoam or cardboard. You're going to use this for the fins. You need something to cut. A straw. You can use other things other than a straw, but we'll talk about that in a second, why that's for. 1 or 2 rubber bands, a twist tie, scissors, a hot glue gun, which I've already plugged in. All right, and the last thing you need is, it's hard to show it here, you need a long, this you can get in the Home Depot, Lowe's. It's pipe insulation. I want to say that this cost me about $2, so it's pretty cheap. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure roughly 14 inches. So for us, that's going to be about here. We're going to cut that off. Okay. Now, if you're working in a squadron, you still have a lot of this left, right? So, I've got a lot of this left. If I had a wide angle lens, you could see all this. But we'll just put this here. So you could actually build a lot of these rockets with just one. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this straw and we're going to take one of the rubber bands. I like to use 2 because I like to go big. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tie a knot. Now the purpose of the straw is that when it goes inside of the tube and we close off the tube, it'll make it so that when we pull on the rubber bands, it'll lock it in place so that you can pull against it. So you could use other things. You could use a couple of twist ties, a whole bunch of rubber bands tied together, just something that's big so when we tie this off, it's not gonna come out. All right, so now we're gonna put that in here like this. Okay. And then we're going to take this twist tie and we're going to tighten this up. So I'll move out of the way so you can see. All right. Let's see here. And it helps, I guess, if you do it the right way. So if you do it the wrong way, it just loosens back up on me. So let's try this the right way. If you do it the right way, it should lock in place. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay, you don't want to make it so tight that it actually cuts through it. Just tight enough that it holds. So now what we have is we have either one or two and now, you know, that's what you're actually going to use to create the thrust. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and trim this off. Now, sometimes you can get bigger rubber bands. There we go. It's important to cut this off because when you're pulling on this, you know, you don't want this hitting your arm. It could actually, you know, cut you, hurt you. So try to make that as tight as you can. Like I said, you can use one rubber band or you can use two. So whichever you want to do. Now, next thing we need to do is do the fins. All right, so let's put this over here. All right, see if I can get that in the shot here somewhere. All right, so we're going to cut this out. This is, if you're an AEO of a squadron, this is actually a really inexpensive hands-on lesson that you can build off of. You can get these styrofoam lunch trays for almost next to nothing. And everything else was super cheap. You know, this cost you maybe 40 cents per kid, 30 cents per kid. You can get a bag of 100 of these for, you know, give or take 5 cents a piece. Okay, let's go ahead and mark this. We'll cut these out, we'll glue them, and then we are done. This is an easy hands-on tonight. Now, you do need to do 2 different options for stage 1. Most people will do this as well as the Fizzy Flyer. I know my squadron in Greenville, South Carolina, the students, the cadets did Fizzy Flyers for one of them. Most of them will do this one for their second one. A lot of them have actually already gone on to stage 2. And we built the rocket in stage 2. If you're interested in seeing a walkthrough on how to build a level AEX and a level 1 rocket, go ahead and look at my channel, youtube.com/Robert Roberts, and you will be able to, you'll see a lesson in there for Titan. You'll see a hands-on build. So that you're going to want to do. Now, one thing I would say, be careful of with this, if I can get this lock in here, you know, as you cut through this, you don't want to cut through, you know, the nice dining room table surface. So make sure you have something underneath it that if the razor blade hits it, you're not going to be too upset about. Or more importantly, that your parents aren't too upset about. Or if you're married, your wife or husband's not too upset about. Again, the nice thing too about this is, you know, try to make sure that you have your hot glue gun warming up. So this way, once you're done, you can go ahead. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of these as soon as it's ready so that the glue can start to dry. Okay. The other thing is on that sheet, you're going to want to cut out this little box diagram. We're going to tape that around, and that'll show us where the fins are going to be. Now, you want to try to get it as close as you can. If it's not exactly right, you know, this isn't something where you're going to put a powered motor, rocket motor in it. So it's not going to be too big of a deal. I noticed that I didn't actually bring tape here, so we're going to kind of eyeball it a little bit. So we're going to go like this. I'm going to use this as one of the leading spots. So we're going to go up here. So there's one. We're going to make a mark. It's probably not going to show up too well on the camera because it's purple going on black. But I can see it here. Okay. And then the other fin we're actually going to put right on this area here. Matter of fact, we're going to pull this tape apart. so that it sticks together. Okay, we'll do this one here. Okay, we'll tuck that back in. All right. And that'll make that nice and sticky, and we'll put one of the fins right on that seam. And the hot glue, will actually run a stream of hot glue right down it. Okay, now with that, let's go ahead and let's actually do that. So let's put some hot glue here. Now one of the things that they do say is they say to go ahead and put the glue on the fin, not on the actual body. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. All right. So we'll hold that in place just for a couple seconds. Now I like to blow on it a little bit, help it cool down a little bit faster. So that's one. Okay. Now while that's drying, let's go ahead and do the next one. Okay. That's there. Okay. That's two. And let's cut out the last one. Now, while you're doing this, think about the forces of flight. So I'm assuming that if you're in CAP for a while, you've talked about the 4 forces of flight being gravity, lift, thrust, and drag. You don't have any lift because it's a rocket. There's no wings. These are not designed for lift. So you really have 3 forces of flight. You have thrust, which is obviously by the rocket motor. And then you have the weight of the rocket. And you have drag. Now, some people, one of the main reasons why, let's see here, where's that line? There it is. One of the main reasons why you try to get a rocket off the ground as fast as possible is because you are fighting gravity the whole way. So the longer that you stay close to the ground, the longer gravity is pulling against your rocket. And so that's one of the reasons why it's important for the rockets to try to get up into the air as fast as they possibly can and get into space, to get away from Earth's gravity constantly pulling against them. So for every second that they've got to stay close to the Earth, they have to use that much more fuel. So think about how much fuel a rocket would use in hovering. Well, that's the exact same amount of fuel as if the rocket was going to stay, close to the Earth's atmosphere. So they want to remove that as fast as possible. That's one of the reasons why rockets try to go as fast as possible. All right, so I'm going to try to do this before this is dried. Let's see if this will hang out here for me. It looks like it will. All right, that's good. All right, we only got one left. And then with this, we are done. Okay, told you it would be a quick one tonight. Okay, I see the mark for the last one. Here it is. All right. All right, we're going to let that dry. All right. Now, one of the things the way this is going to work now is you're going to pinch it here, and then you're going to use your thumb, and you're going to pull back, and then you're going to let it fly. And then you can use different types of rubber bands. You can see how far you can make this go. That's it. That's as simple as it is. That is the Goddard rocket. Hope everybody has a good day, and we'll see you for the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.